What is up, lovers of budget cars and bikes? Welcome back to another video for 2021. Yep, the first one of 2021. I hope you had a great Christmas and a fantastic New Year. I hope you've been keeping safe, as we all have been during this third bloody lockdown now. And I hope you're all well. As I said, welcome back to the first video for 2021 on a car that I got to say straight off the bat, this isn't something that was necessarily in my budget, my bucket list, shall I say. I didn't kind of strive to go out and get one of these cars. It wasn't one of these cars that I kind of thought to myself, oh, I'd love to own one of them before I die. It's just something I happened upon. It was another one of these cars that I found online at a salvage auction, and I was a little bit bored over Christmas, so I picked it up at what I thought was a decent price. If you've seen the video on the Vauxhall Astra J, the white one, that was a Cat S, and I decided after that I didn't really want to get into Cat S cars anymore. So because of the structural damage implications with that kind of stuff, you know, and my limited knowledge, so I just kind of thought I'd stick with the Cat Ns or the police disposals. And this came in as a Cat N. Now, this was supposed to be, this was supposed to be just that wing there. And when it turned up, it was just that wing there. Then it was the headlight. And then what happened was I tried to close the bonnet, because on the pictures, it actually showed the bonnet up slightly, which didn't throw any alarm bells to me at all. But when it got here, basically it was all skew-if. As soon as you tried to push the bonnet down here, it went up over here. It created a little bit of a gap. I mean, it was literally over by about this much. You could see that the chassis leg was slightly over. It needed a new headlight. I couldn't get it to close. I mean, I literally spent probably a week every single day trying different ways to kind of bend this back into shape, and I just couldn't do it. So in the end, I just sucked it up. I took it to a body shop. They put ratchet straps on it and all the rest, and basically they said it was pushed over. The chassis leg just over here was pushed over by about an inch, and it still doesn't quite close 100%. It's a million times better than it was, but the gap on this side here is way too big. I think this side's slightly better, but not much. But there are ways to fix that. I mean, you know, whoever buys this off me, there are hinges obviously here and here. I think if you just push them down slightly, that'll bring that one all into line. I'm not going to mess about with it anymore, to be honest, because it looks great from that angle. Money-wise, well, there's another thing. I mean, I ordered one wing. It arrived bent in half, so that was a no-go. I've got a refund on that. Then I ordered another wing from Cinetic, which basically I waited 3 weeks for, and then they contacted me and said, sorry, they damaged it taking it off, so that was another month wasted. Then I found another wing, not realising there was two different shades of red for this car. That arrived and it was the wrong bloody shade. And this is effectively the fourth wing that I have bought for this car. And it fits lovely, but it's still not 1,000,000% on colour wise, and it's got a bit of a scratch just there, as you can see. But you know, it is what it is, and I'll just have to live with it in that respect. They're relatively easy to put on. I mean, I've got a little bit of a mark down there as well I've got to deal with at some point. It's not the end of the world putting these wings on. It's just literally half a dozen bolts. But because it was bent in, obviously it was a little bit more difficult trying to get it off, because obviously all the bolts that were held in were kind of bent round and all the rest of it. So it's actually turned from being a Cat N easy fix, replace the wing, to a complete bloody nightmare, because as I said, I've had to order 4 wings, a headlight. I've had to take it to a body shop who, to be fair, only charged me 150 quid to pull the chassis leg back out and realign the bonnet. And then it didn't have an MOT either, which I've actually just this minute picked it back up from the MOT station, and it's passed flying colours, no advisories whatsoever, so that's bloody wonderful. It did need 2 new tyres, so I put on some part warns on there, but as you can see, they are spectacularly good. So that's fine. That was 50 quid. I mean, this came into me at about 1,450 quid. Now, bear in mind, this is a 2012 1.2 car Edge. So you get the things like the aircon and the CD player and a few other little bits and bobs, aux-in, 12-volt sockets, that kind of stuff. But not much else, you know, it's not the sporty one. It came into me, as I said, delivered about 1,400 quid. It now owes me, because I've had to take it to body shops and get an MOT and tyres, all the rest of it. It stands me in at about 1,850. Now, in my mind, all I needed to do was replace that wing and then MOT it, which was going to be 100 quid. It's turned out to be not quite that way. It's cost me well, probably 400 quid, 450 quid to get it looking like it does now, but that is ready to go, and it's done 36,700 miles. Yep, that's right, 36,700 miles, 12-month MOT, no advisories, runs like a dream, no service history, of course, because it came from a salvage yard, but, that's just the way it is on these kind of things. And to be quite honest, the book price on these undamaged is about £3,000. So I think 1850 on this is a good price. It's a very good price. I'm going to put it up at 22.95, something like that. If I can get £2,000 back for it, I'll put it down to experience. Because as I said, I didn't expect to spend nearly 500 quid fixing it. I thought it was going to be about 100 quid to fix it, but, lesson learned. Again, every time I buy a car from auction now, it's a kind of a lesson learned scenario. Little things that to look out for. I really don't want to buy any more sight unseen cars because I would have seen that the bonnet didn't shut. I would have seen that the headlight needed doing, a few other little bits and bobs, and maybe I wouldn't have bid as high. Maybe I wouldn't have bid at all. But, it is lockdown, and what can you do in that respect? Now, for the car itself, as I said, it's not my bucket list car in that respect, but I wanted something to do to keep me, occupied, as it were, in that respect. The rest of the car, as you can see, is stunning condition. There is not a mark anywhere on this car. It's a bit grubby, middle of winter, what can you do? But it is stunning. Really, really lovely looking car. Not my favourite colour, but, it is what it is. It's got a full spare wheel in there as well, which has got great tread on it. Comes with the parcel shelf. We'll get in, and then I'll show you around the interior as well. It is a base car, isn't it? It's just a little 1.2 petrol. Ooh, let's jump in here a minute, and then I'll tell you a few other things that I've kind of worked out about this car. One funny thing as well, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but when I was setting the clock, I changed the miles to kilometres. So on my MOT now it says 60,000 or 59,000 kilometres, which was a bit of a pain in the bum. But as I said, electric windows, electric mirrors, aircon, which works beautifully. I also had to replace the crash bar on the front as well. I forgot to mention that. That was another 20 quid. But generally speaking, it does need a bit of a clean, so apologies for that. But I mean, it's just literally a wipe over. It's in good nick. There's a couple of tiny little scuffs here and there, as you would expect. Someone's obviously had their foot up on here, but I'm obviously going to get in here and clean this all up before I put it up for sale. As I said, 36,700 miles. Now, what can you see about this car that would remind you of another car, shall we say, in that respect? Looking around here, if you go back to the Fiat Panda, which again I think was the 2012, I'll stick a link in up here somewhere. The Fiat Panda 1.2, almost exactly the same layout. This is one of three cars that are exactly the bloody same, apart from the steering wheel and the dash in some of them. But this is a Fiat Panda, and it's a Fiat 500, and it's a Ford Fiesta. They all use the same engine, a lot of the same layout up here as well. That's very much Fiat. When I got it, which again, something else to look out for, the dash was on, but the revs weren't up, so the engine wasn't running. So obviously all the lights were on, so it didn't throw up any kind of weirdness for me. But when I got here and turned it on, airbag light on, bloody nightmare. Oddly enough, I had to buy a program called Multi-ECU Scan, MES Scan, with the cables and all the rest of it for the Fiat Panda, because that had an airbag light on, and I managed to get the airbag light off by deleting the DTCs using the same software, which only works with Fiat. So there you go. It's a Fiat 500 basically, because the airbag module, which is down underneath there, is exactly the same airbag module as the Fiat's, and you use the same program to clear all the codes and set anything you want on them. So good to know in some ways, but it's a bit of a weird one, as I said, because it's not really a Ford, is it? Oh, let's jump out of here now. It's not really a Ford in that respect. It's a Fiat 500, Fiat Panda in that respect, but apparently the chassis is the same as the Ford Fiesta as well. How does it drive? Well, if I'm honest, very, very similar, unsurprisingly, to the Fiat 500. It's not brilliant. I mean, it's a great town car, it's a great first car, it's comfy inside, bit of road noise to be fair, but I mean, again, a new set of tyres might fix that a little bit, I guess. It'll sit at 70 miles an hour. I took it out earlier on. It'll sit at 70 miles an hour, around about 3,000 revs. So it'll do it, but it's best suited around town, doing a little bit of shopping, taking your daughter to, she can take herself to college, that kind of stuff. Lovely little car for that. And again, at 22.95, something like that for this car, I think with the 36,000 miles on it, I think it's a bloody bargain. Because as you can see, it's in stunningly good condition. So in that respect, great. Not overly comfortable though inside, truth be known. it's very basic, isn't it? I mean, again, we'll jump in here. It's just an incredibly basic little car. The back seats, by the way, don't know if they've ever been sat in. The roof lining, no marks whatsoever. But ooh, excuse me, guys. Again, it's, as I said, very basic. I'm not entirely convinced about this kind of whole area here, although I do like the gear stick in the middle. Again, Ford Panda-esque. Steering wheel, yeah, okay, but I mean, again, you get what you pay for, don't you? If this is 1,250 quid, that's a decent price for a 2012 car. It's only just 8-9 years old, and as I said, it's done 36,700 miles. Let me just close this door. Ooh. It seems to be the world and his brother out for a walk. All the fatties seem to be out for a walk today because they're all trying to I'm trying to lose weight through COVID. Makes me laugh. £30 a year road tax as well. Stunning. I love that on a car. Being the 1.2 petrol, £30 a year. Sorry about that overview of the bloody dash there for about 10 minutes. But as I said, there's people wandering around all over the shop. £30 a year road tax. I'll put the mileage, or the miles per gallon. I'll put it up here somewhere so you know about that. So that's it. I mean, as I said, it's not a bucket list car for me. I just wanted to show you guys what I've been up to the last month or so, because I've had it for about a month. But it's ready to go now. You know, the other thing I did as well is I resprayed these wheel trims because they were all battered and bruised, and I got some Hammerite, believe it or not, Hammerite spray paint in white. I cannot advocate that stuff enough. It is brilliant. It goes on plastic, metal, anything you like. You don't have to prep it. You just blam it on, and then obviously I put something over the Ford badges and then peeled it off afterwards. But as you can see, they look a hell of a lot better than they did, and that cost me a tenner. So, you know, for the sake of a tenner. But I mean, everything about this car, there's no rust, there's nothing going on with the exhaust. As I said, it's just passed its MOT with no advisories, so all happy days with that. And I'm sure it's got quite a good service history, purely because it looks like it's been well looked after, up until the point where somebody drove into something. But going back to this whole Cat N, Cat S thing, it's a bit of a pisser because, as I said, that was supposed to be a dented wing. Turned out to be a dented wing and a headlight. I've had to use 4 different wings now. The chassis leg was bent over this way by about an inch, which again you couldn't see from the pictures. From what I gather, they're actually not even bothering to go and have a look at these crash cars anymore. They are just literally looking at pictures. The insurance assessors, I mean, they're just looking at pictures and they're kind of categorising them from that because of the COVID lockdown. I don't know if that's true, to be honest, but this isn't a Cat N, this is more of a Cat S. It's good that it's a Cat N for my mind because, you know, they fetch a bit more money, but it's cost me a lot more money to fix it than perhaps it should have done. So, I don't know. I mean, I could just sit back and say, screw it, I'm not going to buy anything until I go and see it this time. I've actually seen another car that I'm interested in from the same auction place, and I've asked them to send me a picture of the boot floor so I can see if it's been stoved in. Another Cat S. They haven't even responded because chances are the boot floor has been stoved in and they don't want me to see that. You know, and speaking locally to a few guys that actually do this kind of stuff for a living, they've all had a drama with, you know, online auctions and cars turning up in a much worse state than they should be. But, you know, that's the luck of the draw. If you think about the red BMW 316, that was a 116 that I bought, that was literally in and out, and I made a few £100 on that. So luck of the draw. Still worth doing? Yeah, for sure. Why not? Anyway, as I said, this isn't a bucket list car. This is just a little example of what's going on in my life and what you can get. As I said, £1,400 to the door, but £450 to fix it when it was only a dented wing. So that's a bit of a pisser. But would I do it again? I think I probably would, because there's still money to be made in it. But, you know, I would have liked to have known that the chassis leg was bent over. I probably wouldn't have bought it, though. What can you do? I mean, you know, I still make a drink out of this. If I can get £2,000 for it, it owes me £1,850. Lesson learned. As I said, get a drink out of it and move on to the next one. Still no bikes to review for you guys. I'm so sorry about that. I just cannot find a fucking bike to buy that I really like at the moment, or I haven't already owned. It's turned into a bit of a nightmare. I don't know, it's got to be something to do with this lockdown. It's the first year I've not been able to pick out a car that I really like, a bike rather, that I really like, and review it for you guys. But there will be something, I can guarantee you that. It might be super spectacular and expensive, or it could just be an old jalopy. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, listen, you guys take care of each other and yourselves, and look out for another video in about a month's time. Any questions, drop it in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed and you enjoy this kind of video content, then please consider subscribing and give the video a thumbs up if you would like, because that really helps the channel to grow. I've noticed that the subscriptions have been dropping. We were on about 150 new subs a month. Now we're down to about 50. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there, but I'm hoping that's not going to continue to drop like that, because otherwise it may be a case of not being able to do much more. Anyway, as I said, look after each other and yourselves, and look out for another video in about a month's time. All right, thanks for watching.